Great. So just to start this 70 minutes that we're going to be together, how long are we going to be here? I think it's 75 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes. I want to invite you to declare that this is going to be a time where we're going to be as fully present as we can, because the time goes by fast. And I want to be there for you, and I want you to be there for yourselves and for each other, so that we can co-create something. So if you have a candle with you, if you have it handy and you want to light it, just to make sure, I lit it at 12, but if we can do it together, I invite you to light it. And this is more a candle that could be just to remind us that not of, of those who perished and the Yizkor framework, but for us to know that we have light inside of us, waiting to be seen. That we have light in us, waiting to be seen, waiting to be felt, waiting to be protected. When winds just want to blow it, let's remind ourselves, and I invite you to just take a few breaths, deep breaths, to center ourselves. So mostly everybody in this call, in this Zoom, hasn't been in previous workshops that I've done. And this is the second round for the Yizkor moment. So I want to frame a little bit more what we're going to do today, and what is my design process to share with you, so that I can share it with you. So we know that high holidays are going to be different this year. We know that the world has changed. We are not going back. We're not going back, we're going forward. We don't know what forward is, but we're going forward. And we also know that maybe Zoom or any online platform might be the way we gather. In different places might be different. Countries also change, they go phase 1, phase 2. Let's imagine we're going to be online. So my wish and my work lately has been how to make this online not to be a two-dimensional experience, but a multi-dimensional experience. How can we, if we understand that we are going to be doing this, that we're going to be working from, not from home, but with home, that we're going to be working with home, with families with home, how to incorporate the home, the spaces that this is going to be taking place as a sacred space. But when I say sacred, we talk about so much about, sacred, well, I'm not talking specifically about Ben and your sacred, beautiful space. I suddenly looked at you, and I also believe that you have to know each other, but we're going to leave that for later, because I want to give you as much as I can. But how to really honor the space that people are going to be living in at the time that we're going to meet each other. And again, they're not coming to us. They're not coming to it. They've never come to us in a way. We're going to them. We're going to enter their homes. They are going to enter our homes. We're going to meet in a common space. We're not welcoming them either. We're embracing them. So part of I would say the most important tool that I want to bring back again and again and again is our presence, that we are looking into the screen, that we're looking into the squares, that we know who is there with us, for us, that we can look even behind them, not just because you'll see we're going to unfold this together. So before we start, I would love to ask you how you are. But I'm going to ask you how you are in a way that you maybe want to ask your communities how they are. So I would like to ask you how you are, and you're going to respond to me by bringing to the screen, if I don't know if Daphne has that so close, but if you can bring an element from the kitchen, and if you don't have a kitchen close to you, go somewhere else, some element that could tell what you're feeling in this moment, how you're feeling in this moment. So go, find an element. You can leave your chairs. If you can go to the kitchen, better. And okay, there you go. Otherwise, bring an element that, yes.
No, sorry, one of my kids is home. So just say it again, an element for what?
From the kitchen that represents how you're feeling in this moment. So go get an element. If you cannot get to the kitchen, look in the room, something that will communicate how you're feeling in this moment. Oh, Daphne, you had your kitchen closed. Okay, now I want you to show it. I want you to put it in the screen and show it to everybody. Great. Stay there. Stay there. Oh, I'm going to try to make a screenshot. Now, because we're a few, we can do it. We're just a few. So if you can just say a sentence of why an element that you brought, why this element. Okay, Daphne, I have you first on my.
I've been all morning in high holiday meetings, and the smell started to come out, and then from the kitchen of these cookies, and Alona, my daughter, was baking these cookies, so it just made me feel so happy and grateful, which is how I feel right now. So just with all this, there was stress involved, but just kind of like smell and then the taste of this.
Beautiful. Thank you, Daphne. Ben, show us again. Oh, I know.
I have a packet of active dry yeast, and I needed to take this because there's just so much potential in this packet, and that's how I feel about where things are for me, and it's just waiting to be cracked open, and added some hot water and all that good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Chelsea. But you're muted, Chelsea. Let me unmute you. Let me unmute. Can you unmute? There you go.
So I brought a piece of the blender that was supposed to represent the blender because I just feel like a whole mixed up bag of emotions to this whole pandemic, like swirled around.
Thank you. Thank you, Chelsea. Ilana.
I brought water because I think everything is so liquid now, and everything is so like water. It can take me to another direction, or it just everything's so not solid kind of thing. I don't feel solid. I feel like, oh, everything is so flexible, and let's go with the, imazarem, with the flow.
Thank you, Ilana. Beautiful, thank you. Yael.
So I just held up my phone because for two reasons. One is it's like everything is in the palm of my hand. And I don't say that in a way that makes it totally accessible, but rather like it's all in my hand. Everything that I'm thinking about, everything that I'm worried about, everything that I'm planning everything, every resource, every article, everything that like comes my way. I'm like looking at it. Oh, well, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do this. And it's like, it's all right here and I can't escape it in a sense, because it's always with me and every element of it. And then the other version of it is just the total connection to everything. That some days is really a blessing and other days is just like, it's a curse. You know, I don't want to watch. I don't want to know.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I brought a roller pen because I feel like I am, you know, trying to transform my days into creative things. Sometimes it's really hard to hold this. Sometimes it just goes back and forth easily. And especially when I'm with people, you know, like we are together, I feel like we can do this together. So this is my roller pen. So as you can see, we can interact with home as well, and asking people to just move around and come and get and look for. I'll give you more examples later. I opened the mic to you because we were just 6 people together in this call, but imagine if you had 30, 50, 100, over 300 people, you know, you don't want not to hear them all. And how can you do that? So, you know, just bringing something like this, because I've been hearing a lot that what people are doing is writing things and putting, you know, like signs. Yes, you can do that, but bringing elements also make the person think how they're feeling on their way to, right? I can't imagine, I'm imagining a creative process that you've been going while you were looking for your stuff, and it's dynamic. Part of the thing that I want to explore with you, and I've been exploring in the previous workshops, is how can we do something online without being like this? Because this is so tiring. So we're going to explore practices that, you know, can bring this notion of multi-dimensional. Why Yizkor? Why I wanted to make a workshop with this theme like this. For me, everything is connection, 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 really. And I think that generations need to share, need to create common spaces to share memories, to share stories, to share feelings. I think it's as important for the older generations to share to the kids as for the kids to listen to them, to be in the presence of grown-ups remembering. I was raised a secular Jew in Argentina. My parents didn't go to services, although they sent me to camp, you know, Betel, you know, in Argentina, they sent me to camp, and that's how I met Marcelo, my husband. But I feel like we lacked the time to have rituals that had more of a spiritual thing connected to Judaism. We had through music. And I want to share especially an anecdote or a moment in my life that I remember. My mother is called Liana, and her name is composed by the names of my grandmother's aunts that she left in Romania when she came to Argentina, where we lived, and she had never seen them again, and she loved them. So she named my mother Leah and Anna. And I remember hearing that story, and even, you know, the red hair, you know, of one of them. But I never had with my grandmother a time where we declare that that was the time to hear about these aunts or about, you know, the people that she missed. I heard stories and I was very close to her, but that I feel that that wasn't enough, that when we create rituals, especially in moments where there's so much wounds, moral wounds, emotional wounds, you know, rituals will help us move from collective pain to collective healing. So I know there is a minhag, there is a tradition that is very much rooted in superstition. That is, you know, when the Yizkor service that happens on Yom Kippur, whenever you do it, a lot of communities, you know, have the custom that, you know, people that haven't lost a close relative leave the room. Yeah, they leave the room. Not in your case, and I know others don't, but there is this minhag. I wanted to challenge that when I was at the 92nd Street Y with providing a moment among families not to run away from loss, not to run away from memories, but to remain in those memories, to share those memories. And knowing that although there might be sadness, we can go in sadness and get out of sadness. That sadness or, you know, being emotional is not a state that we will last forever. And in moments like this, and I heard a lot of you, you know, some of you say that, you know, it's just a too much moment for everybody. But we are hearing, and kids might be hearing, you know, how many deaths and how many people died and how many cases. And, you know, so death is also a soundtrack. In many families, is more like a soundtrack. In others, is really at the core of what they're living. So why avoiding that? And why not looking at a way to bring people together to remember? So my approach, and I'm going to say it right away, is that maybe we don't call the Yizkor moment a Yizkor moment. That maybe we want to call it, for example, a bonfire of memories. That if this idea of Yizkor in your community challenges or it has a friction with the Yizkor moment that, you know, your communities are doing and it's part of who you are, maybe you want to create a different moment that could be called differently. So people don't get confused. We're not replacing, or we are, depending on the choices that you make. Does this sound okay? So, so my creative process is that I look at a moment and I dissect it. I'm going to look at all the elements of this moment, of this prayer. I'm going to dissect it. And I'm going to choose what elements in that prayer, in that moment, are relevant for connection, will enhance, will facilitate connection, but not just connection of the people with me, but among them. Because there is a blessing within this tragedy that people are going to be, in a way, some families are going to be together at home. There's so many people where that shul doesn't mean home for them. There are a lot that are already mourning that they will not be able to be at shul. But we never know, you know, and even I always think about families with young children getting out of their home and reaching another place on time. I'm thinking of that process as, Ben, you will get there, don't worry. But truly, like, I'm always like in awe if they made it on time. Even if they made it, there's not such a hustle in this year, you know? So I think we could also look at it as a blessing, how to enter this. So sharing moment, being together, looking at, for kids to be in the presence of grown-ups that are in a vulnerable moment, that could maybe have some tears in their eyes. And we holding the space, creating this moment with this in mind. So we're going to look at all the elements. So if we're looking at Yizkor as a moment, or a bonfire of memories as a moment, there is a before, there is the moment, and there is an after. We just don't jump into Yizkor. We just don't jump into Yom Kippur. There's Elul, there's Slichot, there's so many things that are happening, right? So I want to look at this moment and the before and after. Does this sound right? Good? Okay. do you have any questions up to here before I enter the practice in itself? Yes, Yael.
If if this isn't already built in to your looking at the moment, I want to ask for you to comment, or address the question of when the moment comes. In other words, in my shul, Yizkor has a certain time. It's in the afternoon of Yom Kippur. It's not in the morning. It's usually preceded by mincha. Like there's a certain, an order to it that I either I'm shaking up entirely or I'm doing differently. And so I also would like the moment before the moment. I mean, the moment before the beginning. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Where are people coming from before they're turning on their Zoom to this or whatever it is?
Yes, and this is what I think I'm going to be responding to your question, because I think it's a great thing. Let me just say one thing right away, because I think it's relevant with what Yael just asked. The moment that I'm going to show you could last as long as you decide that you want this moment to be. What I mean by this is, I'm doing today a workshop with you looking at the Yizkor moment for 75 minutes. That doesn't mean that the Yizkor moment needs to be 75 minutes. I want to say, it could be part of the, you could connect the Yizkor moment with the healing moment, with the Shema moment, you choose. Like this is just an aspect of a much larger chain. And you will decide how you want to incorporate it. But it's very important, I think, for what Yael brought up, is that we are finding that as we move into this pandemic and this seclusion or quarantine and all these phases, we are getting more Zoom exhausted. This is the time online is getting us. So I would like to invite you to really think about durations. The shorter, the better. Maybe you want to do different moments throughout the day that are, 25 minutes long. And then you meet again at another time. Or maybe you even help, depending on but I don't want you to stretch, because you will lose them. And I also think it's not good for people to be in front of a screen for so long. And this is for adults too. Like we are, working on a project with Marcelo for the Chagim. And, we are thinking, how long will people be? Could people really be engaged in front of it? So have this in mind when I dissect this with you. So the before, let's imagine you're just doing the bonfire of memories. Let's talk about Yizkor, so it's simpler for me just to name it, okay? That you're deciding to do something like this. You need to prepare families for it. The Yizkor moment doesn't start when people get online with you. None of the moments will. None of the moments will. Nobody's going to be engaged by turning on the computer. There's no way. So how do we do that? One is the preparation, because I believe that the most meaningful things that a family will experience during the Chagim or whenever you're doing something online are not going to be just in your presence, are not going to happen on the screen with you. And if you share the preparation as homework, you're going to kill it badly. I don't know if kill it in that sense is good, but you're not going to be, you're going to just smash the potential spiritual preparation for the time you get together. So it doesn't matter if they're going to do it or not. We're not going to pay attention to that. You're going to prepare them with an email, with a list of, that I'm going to share with you later, with a list of, for example, their words, you know, and Yael might know because we spoke with her sister. There are PDFs with language to name feelings that you can download. You know, giving people language to, you know, to be prepared. You know, what does it mean to be sad? Synonyms of sadness. You know, there are many, and this is a pretext. All that we're doing, guys, high holidays, any holiday, any Shabbat is a pretext for connection. If our goal is to connect and to connect and to help people connect with each other, we're going to send them things that might enhance. And one of the things that we want to help them prepare is what I'm going to show you in a few minutes. That is the bama, that is the bonfire in itself at their home. Because the preparation of the room setup, and I'm going to just start giving you a little bit away what I'm going to show you later. The preparation, the setup for where the ceremony is going to take place, it's part of active play, of a mind, like when I asked you to go to the kitchen and bring something, you know, it's doing and co-creating. Because if, for those who maybe haven't followed me and my work, my passion is multi-generational experiences. It's not creating kids services. It's not pediatric Judaism. It's really elevating everybody through the heart of the kids. But we need to meet where the kids are and enhance our life by connecting with them. So I'm going to go, let me see if my notes, and then I'm going to go down there. You're going to come with me, and I'm going to show you what's happening there.
Karina?
Yes.
You've said bonfire of memories several times, and I'm wondering if you can take a second to say why that phrase is working for you, if only because it does. It's not hitting me, and I'm usually right there with you. Okay, you're showing me. Okay,
it's there. A bonfire. I'm just going to give you I love yeah. For
Sorry,
me,
questions
for me,
already.
I love it. No, but the bonfire for me is a place where you gather. It's a place where we are all at the same level. It is around something that is powerful. It is a ceremony, it is a ritual, but it has song. It allows for, especially for connecting. You know, you don't have rows in a bonfire. You have people sitting around. So for me, the connection between bonfire and what you can do at home, and again, you can choose whatever title you want, but for me, all the moments that I've been creating in the workshops have this bonfire type of, like, a place to gather, okay? But you'll see it now. So just let me look at my notes. Okay, I think I told you. Let me just say a phrase that Mr. Rogers said, and then I'm going down there with you. There is one thought that I feel can be helpful to grown-ups and children alike. Sadness isn't forever. I'm not suggesting that we remind ourselves of this in order to lessen our grief. On the contrary, the knowledge that time does bring relief from sadness, and that sooner or later there will be days when we are happy again, may allow us to grieve more fully and deeply when we need to. Mr. Rogers, chapeau, if there's a way to. Okay, so I'm going with you down there because so before we prepare the families, and part of the preparation is to invite them to create, to find a place in their house and to create a space where they gather. So you see, I have, for example, 2 cushions, right? But there have to be cushions for everybody. And you can ask families and everybody in the family to bring their favorite pillow, their favorite cushion, like, and a blanket or a carpet or something where, you know, people can kind of look at and declare as a bama, as an altar, as a space for it. Now I'm going to put the computer below, lower, and I'm going to show you the elements, for example. Hold on. Okay. Can you see? Yes, and can you hear me? Great. Great. So this is a place for memories, right? So you could invite families to look for the pictures of the people that are no longer with us, right? For pictures, and I brought pictures of people that I miss. You can ask them to look for objects that you might have in the house, but you are the grown-up, you don't do it. You don't do it. You do it with them. So let's go and look for things that I kept from my grandmother that I miss so much. Let's do it together. So it's kind of a scavenger hunt in a way, and you can even format it as such, you know. So you have to look for, you know. So for example, I even kept a towel from my grandparents because I you know. So I brought this and one thing and elements, just elements, things that will help you sink, will help you ground yourselves into memories. I brought you any element, you know. You can even ask, you can even, for example, invite people to cook a meal, you know, with a recipe of someone that they are, you know, that they are missing. So it's not, it's really bringing alive this, but also will help them understand that whatever we're going to do with them, it's going to happen in their home. You know, it's not about us, it's about them, right? Another thing that, for example, I brought is Kleenex. To know, you know, maybe we're going to cry and we might need Kleenex. So, you know, incorporating things that are real, that will help them, you know, be safe. And you could ask them to also have a candle or, you know, picture. Like, it really depends on what they can find. What you know, it could be a guitar. It really depends on. It really depends on the things that they find. But what it's really important is that in that email that you send for preparation, you tell parents that the setup of this has to be done by everybody in the family. Because even going into the closets, you know, and taking out the elements could start the process of sharing. You know, let's bring this. And why, mommy, this? Oh, because this was used. Okay, let's bring, you know. So that is why this is more of the moment with you online doesn't start with you online. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea, you have a question?
No,
Oh.
I'm just agreeing.
Okay, no, I thought because you were unmuted that you, yes, Ben.
I'm wondering, do you think it'd be meaningful to pre-create your own, sort of like what you're showing us here and saying, this is what, you know, as a generative opportunity for families to say, here are kinds of things, not specifically this thing, because every family has their own, but curious if that, taking them on a tour of yours as a way to help them generate theirs.
It's a great question. I'm not that kind, like I want to see very different bonfires. I would love to see, because I think that it's part of the what you're gonna offer them that moment, that you're going to be looking, you're going to ask them to show it, you're going to ask them maybe to take a picture of it, and maybe after Yom Kippur and after the Yizkor, Yom Kippur, you can upload those pictures into the Padlet application, so that you can bring, you can store what happened this year, in something for the whole community. I wouldn't, but it's not a wrong or right, But thank you. Ilana, do you want to? Oh, some of you have been unmuted, so I see that, and I'm saying maybe you have a question, but I can keep going. You're fine? Wait, now you're muted. Ah, you do it. I'm not gonna do it. You do it.
Okay. I don't know why I did it, but I just wanted to show when I got your email today, I don't know why, but I'm on my blankets and I took the picture of my grandfather, and I have a candle, and I have my prayer book, and I have my own face with
Beautiful, Ilana. Ilana, there you go. You see, Ben, sometimes the most amazing things happen when we don't tell people what to do. But if we can suggest and invite them and then remove ourselves, thank you. Yes, Daphna.
I was also thinking, because as you invited us to do it, because I do not live now in my home, it actually also reinforced the fact that I didn't have my grandmother's photo and I didn't have all these things. So I was just thinking already, how can we extend? I know that for some of us who are in communities that are based in New York, perhaps, many of our members will not be living in their home and in their, with the comfort of their stuff. So that is something that I've been already thinking about, how to incorporate those two. There's always something, but I thought in that email, I know that because I'm already thinking, like, because we've been thinking about it too in that email of the preparations, also say, and if you're not in your environment or something like that. So this is just the beginning of a process of thought.
It's a great, let me get something. It's yes, it's another reality. It's the reality that we're dealing with. Yes, that maybe, maybe they don't have the elements to do it, but maybe they can still bring, like create a space with a lot of candles, or like to create the ambience, but with less artifacts in a way. Yes.
I wanted to ask one other thing. On the other hand, I'm thinking about the fact that for families who are usually together, right? The parents and the kids with the grandparents, that there is another opportunity here, and I can't quite crystallize it yet, but the idea that, sort of going back to the beginning of what you were saying, like I certainly grew up, not being in the room for Yizkor, and then being in the room for Yizkor, and then both my parents lost a parent in the same year, and then I wasn't in Yizkor because they were there. Like I've been through lots of modes of this, but what I'm thinking about now is how I would want to invite my families to invite their grandparents to this. And then I don't know how it works, if it's a breakout, like I don't know exactly how it works, but something about that ability that we can do, but in a really different, dramatic way, because we're all in the room together with different bonfires, to use your word, right? of the memory making and the pictures, and then you have multi-generational entrances into this, and how you let them be as a family but also as a community. So
yeah, you are already in the moment. I'm in the pre in a way. No, I'm just saying, no, keep talking. I'm not, I'm just saying that I wanted to show you what you could be doing, what you could be inviting people to do in preparation for. Okay, and this gathering, this bama, could be used, as the place for them to get together for this moment, for the Shema moment, for the Birchot HaShachar moment, for whatever moment you want to create, for an Avdalah, for, it doesn't matter. But that they know that they can just not slouch on a couch and put on the Zoom and be with you, because they have to. It's important. For me, it's essential that they know that this Idur Mitzvah, that concept of beautifying, of it's going to be even more necessary, because it's not going to be, it's not about the flowers in the synagogue, right? And the dresses that they're, it has nothing to do with this. This is really, preparing their home for a holy moment together. And I think that for kids and for grown-ups, not doing this as homework, but as a scavenger hunt, as a game together, prepares them for something that will happen to them, not to you only. And not with you only online. Meaning, I'm going to go now into the moment in itself when you gather them, when you come together. But know that your time with them will only facilitate the actual getting, okay, now this is the time we're starting together. Just that. Ceremony started beforehand. I'm going to stay here on the floor. I like it better. Let me see if I have my notes. So let's imagine, yes, Ben? Oh, yes.
I was wondering about you made this comment about the just not slouching on the couch and just hopping in. Like I'm curious about that, because you make a comment about this idea that, like, we don't want these things to feel like homework per se, but I was thinking about some of the language that could be used either in email or something like this that doesn't make it feel like it's homework, because I could see that. Does that make sense?
Yes. So the language's invitation is exciting. It's, in preparation for, because I can't wait to see how let's imagine you use that word, your bonfire will look like, like really knowing that, for example, I told you that you might be seen on Zoom full body. So please make sure that you are dressed, or talking about food. Let's imagine, this happens on Yom Kippur, which is not an imagination thing, but you might want to tell people not to eat during the time that you're here, even if they are not, fasting. These are things that we are inviting you to consider. That I think that the most important thing is to tell them that you are going to be with them, that you're going to be looking at them, not like this, but that is your interest, not for them just to show up, but for you to be with them, so there you can prepare them like I prepared you, in a way that allowed Ilana to even create, bring her the picture of. So yes, this shouldn't be homework. Yes, Ilana.
Try to unmute myself. So I'm working with community, and it's just not just kids, and I wonder if I can do it also for adults.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So,
Kids are a pretext for us to enter activities. But this is such a good question, but I want to run the 3 moments and then leave you time for questions, because otherwise I am afraid that I will get lost and you won't have all the information that you need to do that. But yes, you do it with grown-ups, of course. Daphna will tell you that for the first session of 7 days of recreation, right? Daphna, you said, these are ideas that I could do with grown-ups, right? So yes. So when you gather, the families come, you can even welcome them with music. Okay, I'm not talking halacha wise, you decide what's appropriate and what's not. Okay, but we're entering the online world. So I'm gonna tell you, there is a feature on Zoom that you can share the music directly from your computer. Okay, and I can tell you, or Ben is amazing at that, but I learned it recently. You download it on your computer, or you have Spotify, and you share the screen, advanced, share from my computer. So people can come in with music, and the music has to, of course, reveal the tone of our gathering. This is not a sad gathering. This is a vulnerable gathering, an emotional gathering. Okay, so you can welcome them like this, and you can even have a picture. I had a picture, for example, let me see. For example, if you would have come earlier, I was welcoming you with a picture. This was the bonfire picture, but you can create on Canva or, something that, so that when people come in, they're not coming into a Zoom. They're coming into a space together and with music and that. Welcoming them, asking them how they're doing an activity like, for example, what I did with you, surprise them. Don't create a script in a way, create a ritual, but surprise them, surprise yourselves with the things that you see and that you want to incorporate. I'm talking about the moment in itself, right? And explain, why you're doing this. Start always with why. Tell the families, and this even in the email, why you're choosing to do whatever moment you're doing with them. So welcoming them, setting the rules, telling them again, because I don't want anybody to feel embarrassed, and I don't want anybody to feel ashamed. And if of course you need to go to the restroom, this Zoom will allow a lot of freedom from families with kids with disabilities. Yesterday, I received an email that gets me chills even now, just saying this. A rabbi that I've been, learning during the workshop said that he was on Zoom and he did one of his songs with some motions, with the Shema, with the motions that I taught him, and that there was a family with a kid, hearing impaired kid, and the mother was crying online because she had never seen the Shema done with motions. So, this is such an inclusive way of doing it, saying it. You can move, you be muted. It's important that everybody's muted. Does everybody know how to mute and unmute yourselves? No, let's try it. Let's be loud. Everybody unmute yourselves. Let's be loud. Now at the count of 3, we're going to mute ourselves. Like anything that has to do with this is an element of connection. Assuming that people know how to mute and unmute themselves, wrong. Don't assume anything. You can even incorporate that in your previous email. I'm going to welcome you tomorrow. Don't forget, do you know how to mute? And don't worry, I can teach you, but give time. Check. Time for comments. Look at the chat. And there's some things that you don't want to happen. You don't want people, bare, naked walking around the house but truly, for a lot of people, and especially older people, they don't get it. They forget that they're seen. So say it. the moment. And I'm looking at the time because I want to give you also the time for you to ask me questions. So you welcome them. You might want to sing a song for them, and you want to everybody to go. So now go to your bama, go to your bonfire, go to the place and make sure that you're all comfortable. Do you want to turn the lights off? Would you think that it would be bad? Like, you can give them options, you know, to turn the lights off. You can sing something. And when I'm telling you this, I want to reinforce the notion of co-creation and collaboration. If you're not a musical person, like I know there in this room are very talented musical persons, there might be in your community someone with a beautiful voice. It might be a parent and a child, a grandparent and a child. It could be a grandparent, you know, singing and opening the session. Imagine all the things that could happen before you gather. You contact a grandparent to sing a song, you know, like that's why I'm so excited about the online things, but not just broadcasting what you're doing at a synagogue. This is not about broadcasting. So all these things could, you know, could add. So let's imagine a grandparent is singing a song and he sings, and then you can ask families to now, you know, we're going to be online together, but it's not about looking at each other. I want you to go as a family. And you invite them to go as a family and to give them time where they're going to share memories together. And one way to embody the sharing could be, and this you could do it in the preparation email, ask families to bring stones. Let's imagine, you know, stones or sticks or, and they can be put on a pouch, on a beautiful pouch. If they're in a city, they can get Amazon or whatever, but it doesn't matter. The whole idea is that when we are going to talk about those we miss, we're going to hold a stone. And this stone is going to gather all these memories, the names, where they lived. And in the past, when I did this ceremonies in person, I knew of people that kept the stones and took them to the cemetery and put them on the tomb, or they kept it, you know, close to the pictures of these people at their homes. Because what you're doing is you are rededicating an object. And why a stone? Sharing why stones with people before they go into this ceremony. Why stones? Why sticks from the garden? Like I'm looking at Daphne, you know, maybe some things in nature that they can bring. But the whole idea is that also, if the grandparents are in the same room as the parents and the children, to pass it along, for the kid to get it and to give it to the parents. And this you can lead them online before you leave them alone by sharing. So the beautiful thing is that, you know how you see in movies that you see an apartment building and you can see the different apartments and people doing different things at the same time? This is kind of what this could look like when they're working and in memories of, and you can tell them, you know, if there's a song that, because we're muted, do whatever feels right to remember those you. So the food thing, please delete it because it's Yom Kippur, so you won't bring a food, but to eat there. But yes, at the end of Yom Kippur, they could incorporate that as part of the fast, you know, the breaking the fast. That could be really beautiful to cook before Yom Kippur and with a memory, with a recipe that comes. And then you gather them back. And one way to gather them back is with a song. Nigunim are so powerful because you might have people that have no Hebrew, yes, Hebrew, just bringing them with a nigun and you know, And depending on the time and the amount of people, know that when you allow people to unmute themselves, even for 2 seconds, they know that they can talk. So be very mindful of that, because you might lose control of the energy that was built. But it's beautiful to say the Kaddish together. And I asked you to print, and I don't know where I have mine, but do you have the Kaddish that I gave you? Okay. Let me see if I have it here. Oh, yes. So let's imagine people were talking and sharing memories, and you yourself, if you're not doing it with your family, this is, okay, let me give you a best practice statement. Don't ask families to do anything that you're not ready to do yourself. Don't tell them to jump if you're not ready to jump with them. Don't ask them to share memories if you yourself are not ready to share some memories with the people in your home. And if you, for some reason, decide that you are not going to have a family moment yourself while you are leading because of who you are, or you don't have a family with you, whatever, but acknowledge that, like bring this to the plate. Because a lot of people I see, they're playing the guitar and they ask the kids to do things and they're stuck in the chair and the kids are jumping and there's no, there's no energy on the other side of the screen, and we want to. So the Kaddish that I sent you has an English version on below, that was written by a Rabbi Mitch Shefitz, whom I worked in Miami with. I was the cantorial soloist, he was the rabbi. And he translated it in a way that has the rap beat that the Kaddish has. The beat that the Kaddish has allows people to memorize it faster, right? So Yitgadal veYitgadash, right? So if you read in English, the English is magnify and sanctify the great, like it has a beat. I'm sharing it with you in case, because a lot of people don't know what they're saying. And because the experiential moments are not a moment to, they're not a class. You're not going to be teaching about, the Kaddish, but you might want to say, that it's in Aramaic, that was because of the language that everybody spoke at that time. And he says, so why not saying it in English or in Spanish or whatever language you're speaking, if we want to make sure that people know what they're saying. And I have to say, I will ask Ben, who's in this gathering, to record or to share with us the beautiful melody you put to the Kaddish, that it won't fit now to do it because of timing, but Ben wrote a beautiful piece with the Kaddish, and I would love for you to share it with all of us, if that is okay afterwards. Yes, Ben, on email? Great. Thank you for that. But also too, I'm thinking about standing up for the Kaddish. We can just stand up, or we can ask all the children to hold the grown-ups' hands, the people that are going to say Kaddish, and help them stand up. When I say I dissect a moment or I dissect a prayer, I'm not just dissecting the words, but the choreographies, the rituals connected to those prayers. Do we stand for the Kaddish? Do we all stand for the Kaddish? How do we stand for the Kaddish? Because it is in the moments in between where a lot of the magic happens. And Ben just shared, I think, a link to his okay, so think that, even how they're going to be seated, if the grandparents are not in the room, you can send them to rooms. You can send them, you can send them to the breakout rooms. And maybe not everybody, but those who, that you can assign people to go to the rooms.
I was just
Yes.
thinking about it, Karina, because I know that we have a Shabbat every week, so I know that we are having increasingly more people that are alone in households. Um, People who are been joining from around the country, like because it is not anymore. So I was just thinking about it when we're talking about sharing memories, that moment. Um, it would be great, I think, if us would say, and we will meet in a meeting room, the ones who wants to share with each other, just so so I was just thinking, can the service take continue and then some people are in a I'll figure that out in a
Yes, I think you can send some people to breakout rooms and some can remain there,
right.
in their,
Maybe
yes, Ben, who knows much
right.
more about Zoom, says
You
yes.
can have people say, give us thumbs up, the icon, if you want to join us in a while we're all sharing memories in a room to share your stories.
So let's imagine you have people joining because this is an intergenerational. It's not just families. You could have, when you want to do something intergenerational, there are elderlies that don't have families that will join them, but they want to be part of something like this. So even in the emails before, you could identify if you're coming by yourself.
Yes, yeah.
Please let us know because we want to make sure you are held by others.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know that. So yes, and you can prepare those breakout rooms for them to gather, and you can even adopt, grandparents in families that don't have grandparents. Yes, we have just 10 minutes. I just want to. So what happens here could really be about what you want to say. They could even create a sculpture, like an installation as they share memories. Like they could have, boxes, and each time there is a memory shared, a box is put on top of the other. And you can see all the memories, as an installation that they create together. I'm already like creating things and imagining things. Remember that there might be young kids that they don't even grasp this notion of missing, so you have to give them things to do while they while they share memories. Okay, so creating a tower, of things that they put on top of each other, and to make sure that the kids, make sure that the kids, and the kids make sure that the tower doesn't fall. And what if it falls? We put it again. This is what happens with memories. Like, bring play as a source of embodiment. And then you bring them together and you do the Kaddish, and you could have someone sing the El Maleh Rachamim, and have all the kids to get very close to everybody else in their home, and to turn off the lights. And you can even have flashlights, to like, you could make this a beautiful environment for memories that I'm sure they will never forget. And the after is, if they took pictures, if there is another gathering where they want to share more, or you don't know what's going to happen to them and what's going to happen to your community after a moment like this. So this doesn't stop when you say goodbye. And again, the Yizkor moment could be a part of, could last 10 minutes, and then they go into another moment. And it's like I'm thinking it's like a Lego. That's why I'm talking moments, and that's why I'm doing these workshops as moments. Okay, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover right away, but I might have notes that I can look into, and I want to open the floor and hear your questions, ideas. Ilana. Tell us, Ilana, where you are.
So I'm from California in the Bay Area. And I'm working with the Russian-speaking community. It's my work for the JCC. I created this community and we're not meeting together, of course, but I'm trying to maintain my community somehow.
Right. Question.
And I work with I work in Russian, so not in English. So I have a question, technical question for how can I so I understand that we send the preparation email, we gather all together, you know, in the Zoom, and we start with some kind of a melody or something, and a picture. We talk, and then we send them to share memories to different rooms, or
So they are in their room. Each one is in their home. So you just send them to go together. Like you don't send them to rooms. They
I
each
see. So
family is
everybody is
working.
on
Everybody
the
is
screen.
online, muted, but
The question, what I'm doing during this.
oh, you can be looking, you could be sharing memories with, if you have someone in your home to be sharing with, or you can be just in the presence of them, not like, you
Right.
know, like invading.
Or facilitating the one room of the people who did not have
There
others
you
to
go.
share. And so you're going with
Wait.
them to another room.
So
So it's not rooms. That's the thing, right? I'm not dividing them into rooms.
unless you have people that are by themselves at their home and you don't want them to be lonely, so you identify those who are by themselves and you send those to a room so that they find a way to be together. The others that are in their homes with other people are just with their families in those moments. You don't send them to rooms.
Usually those who are alone at home, they older adults, and they don't know how to go to rooms and how to
You do that. Don't worry. That's nothing that they can do. They do. You send them. It's something automatic it's in the system of Zoom.
and then they press the wrong button, like
They don't have
Joe.
to
They don't have to press.
They don't have to do anything. The whole group is on screen, and then you press the go to the, you do the mechanics, and the next thing that they see on the screen are those who have been sent to that space. And then you end it, and they go back
They
to the
don't
big
have
room.
to
They don't.
accept it.
No, I don't. There is like one click, no, Ben?
There might be.
There might be
Yeah,
one click.
they have to accept it,
They
and
have
then
to accept.
yeah, and then after that they have to go out of the room. So
No,
they
that
have
is
to.
automatic. You time it and it comes automatically. They come automatically back. But what I'm also thinking, Ilana, it really depends, because if you have a lot of people that are, maybe you want to do different sessions with them and just gather them, you know, together and not just mix them with others that are in the same room.
And on the same room, like create the same like experience for everybody, so everybody can share.
Let's imagine we are all people lonely in our houses, not lonely, but are alone. So I invite all of us to gather at that time, at one time, to do a memory sharing and Yizkor moment among ourselves.
So it's gonna be like on the Zoom, so everybody can have like a spotlight for like a minute.
Yes.
Okay.
But we can go into that line, I think, if you want, on a one-on-one, so that others can make other questions, but it's something to think about, Ilana, and I would, yes, Yael.
So our general minhag has been in a regular year that part of our Yizkor services, we have two members. Everybody submits their names of people and their families, and then we have two members who stand during about a 20 to 20 minute period, 15, 20 minutes of their reading the names, and they'll say, you know, Rabbi Yael Rydberg's grandmother and grandfather, like, and da da da. And so initially I had imagined that that component would be part of this, whatever, but even before you offered this, that somehow each family block would have a chance to say, we remember do, 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 do. And now, I mean, I love this so much. And now I'm thinking to myself, if I do that, that depending on how many people are there, that could make it extremely long. And I'm a little worried. And I just wonder what you think about that incorporation of some element of sharing with the group, not just in this, you know, in the breakout rooms. I don't know how many people will tune in for Yizkor, but let's just imagine I have 100 boxes. Okay. How would you imagine, or how could we imagine some naming of the deceased in a communal, collective way that isn't onerous,
Yes.
right?
One way is that you could put the names in this Padlet kind of format. So you could ask people to submit the names of the, or create their own, you know, they can create and do it, you know, creatively, and then they upload it in this mosaic of names. That could be one idea. And the other is maybe just naming out loud those who died the last year, you know, like prioritize. But maybe the Padlet could be a, yes, Ben.
I had an idea, something that arose out of, I think it was Alana, Rabbi Alana sharing with the water bottle. Was that you? Yeah. I was thinking about water and the living memory that water has, and was thinking perhaps of a potential ritual where there's a pitcher of water that, as people share, their everyone gets a glass of water in that sacred bubble that they're in, or whatever the bama, is that the word?
Mm-hmm.
They and everyone gets a glass of water, and as they share their memory or their thought or their something, they use that water to fill up a pitcher, and then that pitcher comes together, and then afterwards perhaps they could use that water to water a garden or to water something in particular that like everyone has contributed, and the living water that we then use to nurture is like all filled with the memories. That just seemed really meaningful, and I wanted to share.
I love it. I'm a little bit concerned. I'm going to put the but. Sorry, it's a very clear but. If people are fasting, I don't know when this is going to happen, but sometimes being in front of water could exacerbate their need to drink, or, but I think that it could be beautiful. It could be even a plant that you put in the center and they water the plant. Everything you're saying makes so much sense to the idea of embodiment and acting it, you know, putting it not just here, but thank you, Ben. Daphna.
Just want to just give idea that we've been thinking about for Beinenu, that could be for this moment or other moments, but that can also answer Yael's maybe. We were thinking there will be few emails that we will send in advance to ask people to send to us. If you have someone who can do a quick video editing, if you're on staff, or a slideshow, so is either just instead of this putting up here, like if you send us art in advance, or if you send photo in advance, and you just saying one word in advance. So I don't know necessarily for the Yizkor how, but I just wanted to share it, and then creating a slideshow before, or with some music, or and then that could be also the opening time. So in the opening, people, that's what they see first, this beautiful like slideshow or something. So that again, that part of home, like some people will look at the email and see it and remember to send it to you, some not, but that's also their responsibility. So it is that what it is. But that kind of sharing.
Yes, I love it. You know, the more they see themselves in this, when we are so far apart, the closer we get together.
And not surprising them, because we've
Yes.
had this kind of thing that we would like spot video. I just want you to share in Shabbat. Our admin was spotting videos as we were singing, and it was clear that some people were ready and some were not. So we created this thing that they kind of know that in the ending song, that we always end the Shabbat with a happy song, that will be the time that we're going to be spotting sometimes. People who wanted, at that moment, they knew to turn off the video. But it is very important not to embarrass them and not to surprise them. But it is actually fun to spot videos when they're ready while someone is singing, and suddenly you see the community kind of in the middle. But that is more, but something prepared is something
Could be
that
beautiful. Yeah, and it's communal, you know. I'm just looking at the time, and I don't want anybody to feel that I'm pushing you to stay longer, although I wish we could. Just think, yes, so another thing that I wanted to say, and I lost it, but I think it was very important regarding online. Collaborate, look for, know that this is really very difficult times that people are, as you know, there are pandemias over pandemias, and the political situation like this is going to happen in a container that is, this is the only thing that we can control in general is our intention. Our intention, our kavanah, is the only thing that we can control. The rest is put out there. So generating things that we think we're going to be able to manipulate on the go, it's impossible. The other thing, if you're going to pre-record something, and this is not going to be live because of whatever reason, tell the people, be honest with them. Don't tell them that it's live when you're not live. If you decide that you don't want to be on Zoom and you want to do it on YouTube or whatever, with be honest. Be honest. Just an announcement. There are other workshops happening soon, and there's the second session of the 7 days of recreation with Ruben Segal. If you haven't been, Daphna was there. Was it cool?
It was amazing. And I've told people it is just, join if you can.
Join if you can, because it is really, I think, a lot of ideas for you, for yourselves, for others. If you can't come, maybe there's somebody in your community that could join, or a friend, or just let me know. I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Love.
Thank you so much, everybody.
See you soon.
Be well. Yes. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Chelsea. And
Thank you.
Bye, Daphne. Bye-bye.